All right, it looks like whatever had happened is fixed, and we are good to go. It looks like streaming is good. So, uh, welcome to Bodies and Wicks. I am Ted. I will be going over some smart money stuff. If you didn't know what smart money is, it's basically a specific way to look at the market, right? So if you're looking at crypto or you're trading crypto, if you're looking at trading Forex, or if you're looking at trading, um, major market indices, things like that, there are specific things that you look for, right, that show you that there are institutions in this game who are effectively taking the money, or they're playing the typical trader, and knowing how to effectively take them out, um, and take eventually putting the money back into the big players' pockets, because they have the big pocketbooks to do it, and they know what they're doing. So, but they leave hints and trails behind, to that let us know that basically that we know that we know, and it's kind of as simple as that. So I will go ahead and get into some of these things. I talked about one of my previous video about the dollar, watching the dollar this morning and things like that. And I want to get into some things that maybe I don't know about, right? And see if I can find an institutional move that happened, and see where that led. And right now, I think the big talk, or I wouldn't say the big talk, but I think what people are watching right now is Ethereum. They're thinking that it not only could have the potential of Bitcoin, but on a way broader scale, the way it works, the way, the things it could solve. Bitcoin is meant to be, the gold, but with Ethereum is essentially like the oil of the network. So without the oil, you can't get anywhere, in our life. And so I think that's what Ethereum is going to be. And that's why I would like to check it out. So one moment here, and let's see if we can't pull up something. Um, and we'll head on over. So, all right. So I have got a lot of things marked up here on Ethereum, it looks like. And I may just want to start from scratch. So that's what I'm going to do, right? So I am going to down here and just delete everything, right? So what happened with Ethereum? Was there an institutional move here at play? And I can say yes. So if we look at this and we look at all the time that it had spent down here, and especially moving up, moving down, and back in the 200s, 300s, not so, I remember just earlier this year, whenever I was, trading at around $200, $300. And never did I expect it would have a run like this year. But then we had this huge run. It dropped, and now it's going back up. Now the question is it going to keep going up, or is it going to stop where it's at and go right back down? That is probably the question of right now, to be honest, because we're looking at it. I'm looking at this going, oh crap. Because if we were to look at this in an institutional way, right, you want to find your last up candle before the down candle, right? And that would be right here on the 4-hour chart. You want to find the bottom of that, right? Because that's your last big push up right? So this is where the market effectively bought, right, to fake people out to buy while they got in a better position to sell, right? And so while they were making their money on the way down, they effectively knew where it was going to stop, right? And how do they know it was going to stop? Let's draw a fib here. All right, I want to draw it. It looks like, well, it looks like right here. Up to here, and I'm sure it's going to hit 70.5. It does. Oh my god, it does. So the reason I chose this is because you see how you have this small candle and it goes, you have this big candle here. I want to see if we can't get a better look at that. Right, Ethereum just kind of going along, does mine its thing, and then boom, you have a big candle. And then boom, it takes off, right? So that tells me this is the bottom of where you want to draw your Fibonacci, right? Is that first unbalanced candle, right? We go to the top. All right, and now we see the drop. It nails the 70.5. This is your ultimate goal. This is your golden spot. It happens all the time. All the time it happens, the 70.5. I can't even tell you how many times I have pulled fibs and seen it just hit the 70.5. Everybody wants to do the 618, right? Everybody's buying here. This is the normal thing, right? Well, technically this is probably where you should enter, because you know sometimes it does just hit the 618 and then go back the other way, but most of the time it drops down below because it's expecting people to buy right here, right? And then if they have a short stop loss, it takes them out, and then it hits a 70.5 and then goes back, right? So this is a crazy institutional move. Now the question is, what's going to happen? Well, so like I said, they bought right here to fake people out to buy, and they sold, and they knew where it was going to sell to, right? They knew it was going to sell to the 70.5 because that's where institutions look at, right? This is the level institutions look at, 70.5, because they want to buy through the 618 because they know everybody's already there, so they sell through it, right? Hit the 70.5 and then bounce back up, right? So it bounces back up. It looks like this little breaker here caused a little bit of damage, and it comes back up, and now we have this breaker, and this breaker is going to make what? It looks like it already dropped once. It did. It dropped once, it came back up, now higher. Okay. All right. Interesting. Well, I'm trying to think about this. I'm really trying to think about this. Because that could have been a fake out, and now we're looking at the real drop. And it looks like that's what we're looking at. So now I take off that fib, right? And then we're going to draw an upside down fib from here to here. Where does it pull up to? The 80. The 79. This is where you see most reactions, right? I wouldn't say most reactions, but whenever it hits the 80, that's where you're going to see the harshest reaction. So now that it hits the 80, we're probably going to see some kind of pretty big drop now. Where is it going to go to? Well, we do have a bearish or a bullish order block here. Oops. Right. So it could hit here and then bounce back. It could go further into it, actually. It could go all the way down to wherever. we get into the 1 hour and try to find exactly where it would go. And that would probably be right here. I don't know, it might be right here because this is where the push started. But this does have a flat candle. So if that has a flat candle, then the push up here would probably be the place to look. So I would look for here for it to bounce, right? And that's 1148. So if it is going to come down, but this one almost came down to that already. It hit this break. Dang it. It looks like it hit this order block first, right? But now we're looking for a bigger one, right? And this is the bigger order block. So if it was to come down in here, it would hit this, but it doesn't have to though, because it looks like within here, if we do a 15-minute, we can probably find an order block in here. Well, it looks like this one, yeah. Probably came down to this guy here, this last down up candle, right? Comes down to it, rejects. Right here, we have an order block. Looks like it got close to that. Actually, here it is. That's the order block. Oops, didn't mean to move that. So, and crypto doesn't actually usually touch them. It'll get close, but it won't touch them. So it may already be retracing. We may be looking at more bullish moves out of Ethereum, especially since it broke this high, right? If it already came up and hit a breaker, pull back down, hits an order block, right? Essentially that order block would have been here. That push down, or actually this one. Or who knows, it may have been this one. Because it looks like this one bounced, came back up, and then pushed down again. So this would have been the last push down before it came back up. So looks like it would have been this candle here that essentially it came down to, broke back up. Now we're seeing it come back down to this guy. Now we're seeing it push up again. So it looks like Ethereum might be safe on a bull run here, where I thought honestly it was probably looking like it was gonna fall. Now so now where is it gonna go? All right, it's gonna look for liquidity, right? It's gonna look for those highs. So it's gonna be looking to go here now. All right, see we have that little hump high. This is going to be your liquidity draw. This is what Ethereum is seeking right now. It is seeking 1288. After that, look at this. You have two. Look, well, you don't really have equal highs here. You kind of do, but no, you really don't. But I mean, then you have liquidity draw, and then you have double highs right here. So, and then you have double highs right here. So Ethereum is definitely on the hunt. It is on the hunt, and it is going to try to break these highs. So here's another liquidity draw. Oops, didn't mean to do that. I wanted to do this. Same with this. And as we look at the price of it right now, it doesn't seem to be crashing or falling. It just kind of seems to be in limbo, not knowing where to go next. Because it probably hit this breaker. It probably just needs a little push. But as far as the algorithm is concerned, I see it continuously doing this. It's going to be pulling up to this, probably dropping, and then beating it, right? Coming up to this, dropping, pulling back up and beating it, coming up to this, coming back up, and then beating those highs. It's gonna be coming up, getting to those equals highs, dropping a little bit, and then coming up and going through them. And the reason it does that is because people think they're gonna sell, like especially futures, right? People that are on that like to play the futures game, they like to see these as equal highs, right? And they think that it's resistance. So what they'll do is they'll sell at these areas, right? But smart money knows that the dumb people, the dumb money, are trying to sell here because they think it's an equal high. So they'll let them think it's going to do that, and then they start buying, and then it goes the other way, and it goes right through it, right? Because they have the money, they can push it whichever way they want to because they have the money, right? The small guy who's just throwing in a small contract, he ain't got the money to push it, so he's just doing whatever he was taught, and he's taught, oh, double high, that's resistance, sell. No, it's not. That's where smart money is going. Liquidity. You might want to check out what liquidity means. That's where people are entering the market. That's where all the money is, where people are entering the market. So if the liquidity is there and they know how to take it, they're going to take it by going the other way, to where the small people are trying to push it down. The big people are going to push it up. And I think that's what's going to happen here with Ethereum. Like I said, I was kind of scared for a moment because it was going to hit a bearish order block or a bearish breaker. And it is, in the process of hitting that, but it's already broken the high again. So that being said, I am not too scared that this bearish breaker is going to have any huge effect on it. If anything, like I said, it would retrace maybe back down to here, to this 1148, but I don't think so. I think it's looking at your next level's looking at 1288 for it to break. Right, and the reason I drew this upside down is because I wanted to see if it was gonna hit 70.5 or 80, and it did. It hit 80, so usually that's a bad sign, especially if it's a breaker right at the 80. Usually that means it's going to fall. But, the market doesn't always do that. Especially looking at it now, and it looks like that candle is now turned green from red on a 15-minute chart. So that is good news for Ethereum. Interesting stuff, I should say. I want to see if anybody said anything. Nope. All right. Oops, sorry. Let's go back to Ethereum. All right. So, let's see what happens with Ethereum. I think it's going to keep climbing. Look for these levels: 1288, 1326, 1349, and eventually, I think it's going to break the all-time high. What is the all-time high? Let's check out the day range and go back in time, shall we? All-time high 14/19/96 says Coinbase. Now, before it gets there, we're gonna have some liquidity draws as well. Let's get in close here and see if we can't find some liquidity draws. So, I think have we already hit? Yeah, we've already hit this level. This is already done with, haven't we? Let's see. I want to go. Well, yeah, we're right here right now. Highest level we have been is about 1349. So above 1349, what kind of liquidity draw do we have? You have this one. You have this one. So you have two. It's going to struggle, I think, right here at a 1380, 1386 level. Right, and then I think it's going to have a really big push up and just go straight through that high. But it's going to struggle here for a little bit. And it's because there's two, two highs, two daily highs that are really close to each other. So those two are going to cause some problems for Ethereum, probably for a couple days. But then after that, it shall go up and commence a new all-time high. I am sure of it. If you're not sure of it, then I don't know what to tell you. Because I think most of us are. I want to see where the daily range we're at right now. Looks like it's going down, but yeah, it'll be fine. All right, let's check out a new coin. Let's check out Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash has been kind of rolling lately, right? So the daily, well, it did have a huge rise up, a big fall. This also looks like a institutional move. How do I know that? Let's find one of those candles again. Okay, so it's just kind of going along here, and then boom, right? Here's your first boom. You have one back here, but it's evened out in the market already, so it's already rebalanced. So this boom doesn't matter, right? This boom, right? It hasn't came back down to I mean, it's come back down to it, kind of, but it hasn't actually fully come back down to it. It hasn't actually reached that low of that first boom. So that being said, this looks like this should be the bottom. If not, maybe the low before it. High above it. What does it do? It has a good retracement back down to the 80%, and then continues up. So this definitely looks like an institutional move, especially since there hasn't been much rebalancing here. And you would have probably entered a trade right here at about 450. Would have got down to about 400, but still, you end up with 530 something. You would have been okay. Where's Bitcoin Cash going from here? That is a good question. All right, so looking at this now, it's just been steadily going along. I think it's really, I don't think it's probably gonna keep doing that. I think it had a big pump once, it had a big drop, and I think it's just gonna keep doing its thing after that. I think it's gonna, as you can see from history, just kind of chugged along. It just had a really good day one day. All right, so with that being said, let's check out Bitcoin. Right, because I want to see what's going on, because there's definitely some institutional stuff going on here. And the way I have this drawn is that there is basically a huge area of well, didn't mean to do that. Huge area of imbalance right down through here. So I have put my 0 just at right around the 20,000, right, just below that last push before it got above the 20,000. So that is where my 0 point is, and then my 100 point is at the top around the 42,000. Pull it just a little bit more. Now the thing with Bitcoin is it only came down about halfway of that. Now I could probably push this somewhere else. I probably shouldn't though. But if it does only retrace about halfway, this is what gold did, right? If we look at gold, and I can show you gold, let's actually do that. I want to show you what gold did. Oh, not 3 hours. Come on. Way back in when it did this, right? So what I did is I found I forgot where it was. I want to say I put it right here. Maybe it was one of these. It was like the last down up push, but before it started going up. Yeah, this was definitely a. Oops, didn't mean to move that. So, if we look at what gold did, right? Same thing. You know, you had a top, and that's what Bitcoin did. Had that 20,000 top, hit it, kind of went sideways, and then after its last push up, right, and then it got to its top. When it fell, it also got down to 50%. So Bitcoin's looks a lot like that. It's eerily familiar, except for it's a little bit different. The gold had this weird wedge that happened before it just shot up, and then boom, just went straight down. And then it's been going kind of sideways ever since. But it's been going up a lot lately. It's been playing around, I guess I should say. But it's been a lot better than what it has been, that's for sure. Or at least I feel like it has. You know, it did reach a fairly big low that we all thought was going to happen at some point. But then it's kind of, you know, retraced back up from then. And we do have equal highs here, almost near equal highs. So in almost another equal high here, right? They didn't quite get there, but this means that there is a liquidity draw throughout here. So I think we're going to see price in gold start to move up this way, right? We're going to see gold to try to get to these liquidity points because that's where it wants to go. I don't see any liquidity point. I mean, there are liquidity points down here, right? But they're buys. So if anything, people would try to sell through them. But I don't think that's where the real money is. The real money is people thinking it's going to continue going lower, right? So there are we're going to have a lot of you know, sell limits, things like that set up here. So I think it's going to eventually start gravitating up toward this area of, you know, around 1950, 1960, up to you know, 1990, somewhere around there. Try to take out these highs, and then, you know, it's like I said, what Ethereum would do, you know, go back, pull up, you know, it's like I said, it's almost like what these guys did. I mean, this does have almost an equal high with you know, one of these little humps over here. So we'll see what happens with gold, right? But Bitcoin, like I said, almost the same thing, except for it had a massive bull run again. And it's kind of looking like what Ethereum is as well, right? So they kind of have the same kind of shape right now, except for Ethereum had a little bit bigger of a drop. And let's see here. And I drew this because this would be the last up push before your down move. So this would be your bearish breaker. What did it do? Came up right to the bearish breaker. Now it's starting to drop, right? So this is the last point where smart money decided to buy, right? And they bought to try to fake people out to buy. So a lot of people started buying right here, and they knew it. So that got them in a better position, so that way they could sell and make money on the sell on the way down. Now, them knowing, I don't know if they knew it was going to hit the 50. I'm sure they had it planned, Or this could be a different 70.5. If I move this, right, to here, maybe. Yep, that would be it. So if I move that to there, which is another one of your last, well, this is, I mean, you'd have a last down push here, move up to a different area. It doesn't return, right? But there is a lot of balancing in this area, right? Here, there's not a lot of balance. It's just a push down, and it's just gone. So maybe that's why this could actually be the fib that I probably should have drew in the first place. And the reason being is because when it drops right to the 70.5, right? So you see this all the time in smart money, all the time. So yeah, this is actually probably the fib that needs to be drawn and should be drawn. And I'll leave that there from now on. So, where's it going to go to from here? Is it going to fall? Let's see. Let's get down to the 1 hour. And, all right. Oh yeah, I drew this because whenever I saw this big red candle drop, right? And then I saw these candles come up and hit this bearish breaker and then drop. I knew that was going to be the time when Bitcoin was going to start rolling, right? So I had this, I think I made a video about this before. And I actually had a buy limit set here at 36,000. So I thought it was going to get just below these, you see where these three spikes are? I thought it was just going to get just below that, right? And then take off. Well, it did, right? That's what this big spike was here. It goes through it and it comes right back up. And I was like, ah, yes, I nailed it. You know, I nailed the perfect one. And then it came back down and I was like, oh, there was more liquidity down there. I should have known. But you know, it's still above it. So hey, we're good. But that was just, you know, that was a very, very small percentage of my Bitcoin. So it's it wasn't like I've even lost money on Bitcoin at all. So let's see if we can spot anything that could push this up. And I mean, this is all bullish here, all of it. This is very bullish moves, even though we did hit the breaker. And it is backing down from that. We should see some bullish order blocks in here that should keep this afloat, just like Ethereum. Again, it's those down, you know, those last down up moves. So they push it down, they sell really quick, right? And then they'll buy, make money on the buy, and then wait for it to get back down to the last point to where they sold, and they release their trade. So whenever I'm talking about that, if you don't know what I mean, let's say, you know, let's say you're a smart money person and you want to push it down here, right, and make money on your way up. So you can do this, right? So you sell here, right, and while you sell, right, you can also buy at the very bottom. So you put in a long position, right, and you put that long position right at the very bottom where you know it's going to buy, and you know it's going to hit this order block, or this bearish whatever it is, the bearish jeez, can't even think of the word right now. Breaker, the bearish breaker. So you know it's going to hit that. So you buy there, right? You get all the way up, and then, or you sell first, right? You sell, you throw a lot of, you know, just a big chunk in, convinces everybody else to sell, right? And so everybody else starts selling, and then it gets down to here, and then what does smart money do? Boom, they put in a lot of money and then they buy, right? And they make a ton of money on the way up, and then they close their trade, right? So then now that they've made all their money on this trade, they'll close it, and then they'll be in the red from this, from selling, all the way up until it gets back down to where it's at now, right? And now that it's at equilibrium, right, to where it's at the original place to where he sold, right? Now what he can do is close his trade, and he has made money from that sell, from getting a way better position than just buying from here and then letting the money come back down and, you know, on the trade. So that's basically the theory, you know, behind smart money, about institutions and how they can trade and how deep their pockets are, because they can just be in the red forever, basically. And since they're in the red forever, you know, we kind of can't compete with that. So what we have to do is understand where these areas are, so that way we know how to trade with them, right? Rather than trying to trade our typical ways, you know, of using so-called trend lines, right? So, you know, a trend line from here to here. Look, guess what happened? It went through the trend line, right? So this is the thing, is that this is smart money actually probably playing right now. People were probably buying right here, right? Going, oh, it hit the trend line, boom, buy. And then it came up and it goes whoop, and it just took a lot of people out who were buying right here and had very, very short stop losses. And then smart money sold right through it, and then just took out everybody. And then so the money transfers to the broker, and then the broker to the person who sold that. So I mean, to be honest, that's exactly what happened, right? That's what I see whenever I see that. Whenever you see a broken trend line, that is just because that's smart money knowing they can sell right through it, right? And then there's people still trying to buy, thinking that it's going to get above this trend line, as it's still going lower. So bravo to the people who believe in trend lines, because you're some special people. I gotta say that. There's only price levels, right? There's only price levels and price action, right? There's no price prediction. There's only reaction to price, right? And that's what I have to say about smart money. And what it does is, you know, it looks to rebalance, right? And it looks for liquidity. That's what it looks for. And it found liquidity right then on that that fake trend line, right? So if we draw that trend line again, right, it goes through here. Where's the liquidity? It's right here, because liquidity is where money is entering and exiting the market, right? So if people have their buys set on this trend line, right, as soon as they see that and it comes to a trend line, they start buying. Liquidity enters the market, right? So what does smart money want to do? It wants to take that liquidity. So it goes the opposite way of what the masses do. You know, what the herd mentality is. You know, the herd mentality is buy along, you know, the trend line, things like that. So I hope that gives you some kind of idea or sense into what smart money is. Julia, I don't know what you mean by savage, but okay, thank you. I guess I'm just trying to explain what's going on here. Sorry, I was trying to see if there was any kind of comments going on. But thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. If you could, you know, please subscribe if you want to know more about smart money. You know, like the video, do whatever you want. Let's check out something else. Now, another one I do like Dash, right? I think Dash has a good utility in the Latin American countries, you know, South America. And let me get rid of some of these fibs on here. I have no idea what these fibs are about. But to be honest, this doesn't look like it does have any kind of institutionalized moves in it. It looks like it may have at some point. It looks like I tried to predict one. I don't know. Here, let me get rid of all this. Because it looks like this does look like an institutional move, right? If I go from the last push down, which would have been probably down here, all the way up to the top. Oh, come on. No, it went way below it, but still. And now it's just hovering around the 618 of that. Yeah, I don't know if that's an institutional move or not. I mean, it very well could have been. Very well could have been just, you know, hey, let's buy this up and let's see if people, a lot of people buy. And a lot of people do. They'll buy at the top, you know, and then the people that, you know, have the most money in it know about it and they just sell it all at once and then it just drops, right? So, I mean, it could have been an institutional move and they just moved on from Dash is what this looks like, is to be 100% honest. But I think Dash will keep growing steadily. Eventually, it'll get up there. One thing, I think Litecoin could be next. As you can see here, I have equal highs drawn out, but it did break those equal highs. It made new equal highs, and it broke those equal highs. So now we have another equal high up here. Let me get rid of this fib because that doesn't make sense anymore. But what we did have was equal lows right here. So, come on now. You see all this, and basically that looks like a support level, right? Because it's not really touching it, but you know, this guy does touch it, but it's almost like an invisible support, right? And plus it, you know, if we were to run this along here, right, it's just right along top of this guy. So so it does look kind of like a support, you know, like a resistance turn support is what it looks like, right? So because of that, there is a lot of people that would have their buy limits set here or just above it, right? And their buy stops set just at you know, this area right here, which would be, you know, the so-called support, you know, which is really isn't support at all. There's no such, I mean, there is support, but you know, the support that really is there is like the long-term support, the support that's been there for like 10-15 years. You know, those areas are actual support areas. These little short-term support areas can be broken very, very easily. And that's what we're seeing here. One second. So whenever this comes back down, right, when you see it hit this bottom and it jumps right back up, everybody's thinking, oh, look, it hit support, right? So when it comes back down, what do you think's going to happen? People are going to think the same thing. Support, buy, right? Buy through here, and then it just goes straight through. And I'm sure there's a ton of people who probably had a long position that was just like this, right? Hold on. Right. They thought they're going to be able to buy as soon as it came down into this, you know, little zone in here. And then they thought it was going to stop as soon as it hit this, you know, this support zone, and then continue going back up, right? But smart money knows that. Smart money knows that that's what the normal people, you know, the herd thinking mentality is like. So the smart money people, the people that have all the power, buy right into it or sell right into it, take them out, right? And then you know, now they're taken out, that money's exchanged out of their pockets into the big banks or whoever, you know, owns most of, you know, this equity. And then, you know, they'll buy after that because they know that they've pushed it down long enough. They've gotten their better position and now they buy and it won't come back. Or if it does come back, it'll come back to the order block, which it did. So as you can, let me get rid of this now because that's being annoying. So when I say it, you know, it does come back, what I'm saying is that next to it's the last down up push, right? You have this guy here. And so when it does come back down to it, it comes back down to that guy, right? It's not going to come back down all the way back down to here and challenge this. You know, they've already taken that away from you. You know, you're not going to get that. You know, smart money already got that. They bought through that, you know, and then they knew it was going to get down there, so they bought it. You're not going to be able to get down there again, unless there's a reason to. The only reason I could think of is if there's another equal low right along here, and there's not. So since there's not another equal low right along here, it doesn't make any sense, right? Really not equal lows here or anything that would turn that way. So, oops, didn't mean to do that. So I think Litecoin's going to still stay, you know, up in this area. It still may struggle a little bit. But I think it's done with this, you know, this big drop. And again, if we were to put a, you know, a Fibonacci on it, it would probably be a 70.5 drop. So I would say, looks like these guys kind of leveled out. Here was a big down push. All right, so let's put the fib on this guy. Do anchor. Yes, I know I'm on anchor. Well, a little bit further, but still around the same game. 70.5 to 80 sounds about right. Honestly, if I were to pull it down to this guy, I'm sure that would probably be about a 70.5 exactly. It is. So, never mind. This is, yeah. And this makes more sense because this is actually a very, 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 very large push up. With no almost no, I mean, it doesn't come back down to it at all. Probably doesn't even get halfway back down to it before it goes up again. So it looks like that is the push that would cause this kind of Fibonacci, and again lands right on the 70.5, right? So you see it all the time. I mean, you can't get any closer to that. I mean, it's almost exactly at the 70.5. Actually, I want to see what the low is on that. What is that low? 1.04. That's 1.04, and that's 1110.86. So it is less than 20 cents. Less than 20 cents to the 70.5. So I'm sure that that's what they were looking at, you know, to be honest. They probably had that in mind. And now what we're looking at, you see this breaker here. Looks like it didn't have much of an effect on it. I don't know what this is, so let's get rid of that. But whenever you see something like this, right, a big, huge candle that doesn't have any kind of pullback or resistance, and then you look over to the left, and then you see something like this. Yep. So what that does is that creates a gap in price. And so this candle goes right through it, right? So there's a big gap in price. So what does that do? It has to fill that gap. So it comes right back up to it and it fills that gap. That's what price did whenever it came back up here. Boom. You can see it's filled that gap. But now you have a gap up here that it needs to fill, and that's what it's trying to do now. So we're seeing Litecoin slowly get into this area, right? And now what I want to see is what's going to happen once it gets to this level, this 160.62 level. If it's going to get rejected from that, or if it's going to continue on. But I think, like most of them, they're starting to look very, very bullish right now. And I think we're going to see it continue on. One thing I want to check is Zcash. Zcash, I know, is having some issues with privacy laws, but I think that's one reason institutions have stayed away from it. And I don't think there's been any institutional moves in here. I think it's I don't see one. Usually I can spot one, a mile away, but I really don't see it. Yeah. I don't see any like equal highs, liquidity draws, anything like that. No. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Cool. I think the institutions have definitely stayed away from Zcash, so this is one market probably you can get into that you don't have to worry about the markets trying to manipulate it. And since there is no institutional influence in this market, I wouldn't be able to tell you, where it's going to go next, because I don't think, the bullish breakers and, the order blocks and stuff like that, those don't necessarily work, in a market that's not, it's not influenced by third party, by big money. So that is a good thing. That being said, why not? Why not yearn, right? So I remember calling this thing in yearn. I wish I would have called this. That would have been amazing. But way back when, and before the new year, right? I was saying yearn's gonna go up and it's gonna hit this level. It's gonna hit 26,000 and it's gonna drop. And so I drew it because I saw the liquidity points, right? I saw the equal highs, drew them back here, and I saw the bearish breaker. I said it's gonna jump above that, and then boom, it's gonna go down. And what did it do? You can see it right here. Came back up, hit that level, and then boom, went down. So it happened on January 4th, and I was calling for